All right.
All
Here
right.
we go. Bryan-Michael Cox.
Vlad.
Welcome to VladTV.
Hey man, thanks for having me, man. I feel like I'm moving up in the world, man. I'm on VladTV, man. We
Moving
get
up
it going,
in the world.
man.
Wow. What an ironic statement coming from Bryan-Michael Cox. It's actually kind of funny the way this interview even happened.
Yeah.
Because I was on Twitter one day, and I saw that you had made a comment about me.
Yeah.
You made a comment. I think what was it about?
What was I watching?
It was like he was like, "Oh, I can't believe how people go on your platform and,
yeah,
tell on themselves."
It's like no, because it feels like. Granted, I've watched a lot of interviews. I'm obviously a fan of the content that you create. It just feels like, first of all, you obviously make people feel comfortable. So that it really is like it was kind of like it was a compliment to you, not necessarily to the people who sit down and like, yo, you're gonna tell on yourself, or you just like don't do stupid shit and then be like, you know what I mean? And then of course you're gonna ask the question. It's like, okay, so you open up a very vague question too, like, hey, what was so and so, and they'll just go into real detail and it's like, yo, are you crazy? You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, what was funny was okay. Like, I'm not a huge R&B fan, right? I'm really a hip hop guy.
For sure.
So I'm familiar with R&B,
yeah,
but I'm not like, just obsessed with it the way I am with hip hop. So I'd heard your name, but I wasn't totally familiar. So when you tweeted, and I took it as kind of a dig, I'm like, all right, who this motherfucker is? Like, he's probably broke and, hasn't had any hits in like 20 years. And, and I was going to diss you in my head. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because I don't do the whole Twitter back and forth. But I was like, okay, how am I going to diss this person in my head?
Yeah.
By looking him up. Yeah. And then when I looked you up, it was like 9 Grammys, 35 #1 songs, 100 million albums sold. Clearly this approach was not going to work. My original attack plan was not going to work with Bryan-Michael Cox. Clearly. Man. So I had to, say, well, fuck it.
Oh, man.
So I think I said, I went on Twitter and said, man, you got 9 Grammys and you're spending your weekend trolling me.
Yeah, man. But for me, just, and I apologize because it wasn't really a dig at you per se. It was literally, I'm talking about these artists. You know what I mean? I'm like, yo, it for me, it's a question that me and another great friend of mine, a guy named Clifford Henson, who also loves watching your content. Mm-hmm. We always talk about it. We're like, yo, like, don't these guys know that they're really putting themselves? If we're just talking, cool, you know what I mean? But if you're currently dealing in some stupid shit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're trying to flex. So that's the thing. The thing I have with artists now is that, I mean, look at what's happening. Poor guy 6ix9ine. You know what I mean? I feel
Who's never on VladTV, by the way.
Yeah. Oh wow.
I can't take credit for that one. But go on.
But I'm saying, just it's just these guys take social media and the ability that how fast this content reaches to people, the masses, and they do things. They'll brag or talk about things for clout or for the flex of it all, right? And then when it goes down. You know what I mean? They done left the trail.
Yeah. Well, I always say you shouldn't be drug dealing and rapping about drug dealing. Now, if you stopped and it's past the statute of limitations and you want to talk about some old shit, go for it. But if you're rapping about doing the shit as you're actually doing it, I mean, you're the only one responsible for doing that.
You know what I'm saying?
And talking about it and going on social media and doing interviews. If you're actually doing it, I don't know, because I would never ask someone if they're actively doing something.
Never.
You can look at every interview I do. Like, I never talk about what you're doing right now. We'll talk about some old shit if you feel like talking about it. But if you're actually doing it and you get caught up doing it after my interview, I can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
And it's really up to you, If you watch, what's the name of the interview I did? Pee Wee Longway.
Yes.
If you've ever seen that interview,
Yes.
He denied everything. He say, I don't do nothing. I'm a school kid. I've never been in the streets.
Oh, man.
And you have the full option to do those type of interviews also.
Exactly.
They're actually more fun than the other interviews, man.
Exactly.
So this is your first time here.
Yeah.
And you have just an incredible body of work. But let's go ahead and talk about, in the beginning. You grew up in Houston, Texas.
Grew up in Houston. I'm originally from Miami, Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And was born there. And my mom moved to Houston when I was very young and was raised there. So, spent my, childhood, high school, all the way, high school up there. And so, grew up with a lot of people that are now superstars. You know what I mean?
But you actually started, I guess, writing music really early.
Really early, like around maybe I would say I started like charting, like doing transcriptions maybe when I was like 9.
Meaning what? You would hear the song and write out the notes?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So
okay.
I would transcribe, music. We grew up in church, and music becomes like a second. It was like a second, second nature. You know what I mean? So I would say I started transcribing like around maybe 9 or 10. And then always wanted to write my own songs. You know what I mean? I always wanted to create my own type of music, highly influenced by like the Babyfaces and Teddy Riley's. And when I was really young, and of course, when I got into my teen years, there's, Devontae and, Puff and, Jermaine, all the cats that were, doing it in the 90s. But yeah, I've been playing piano since I was like, 6 or 7. Music's been my only journey. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. Now, you went to high school at the same time Beyonce.
Yes, I was a senior and she was a freshman.
In the same high school.
Yeah.
So was she already in that girl group with
Lil Toya and Latavia and Kelly? Yeah, they were already a group. They were actually already signed by that point. When we were in high school, they were signed to Columbia Records at that time.
As Destiny's Child.
We call it Destiny. They weren't Destiny's Child yet.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that. Okay.
And actually, we go back even before that. They were in a group called Girls Time, and it used to be this talent show case in Houston called the People's Workshop. And at the end of the series, it would be like this. It would culminate into this award show called the Sammy Davis Jr. Awards.
Okay.
And a lot of kids, grew up in the People's Workshop, doing talent shows and trying to get to that Sammy Davis Jr. Awards situation. And so we would always cross paths in that, there were girls, there were a group called Girls Times. We would always cross paths in that lane. And Houston's a big city, but when it comes to music, it's a small, small circle. So everybody kind of knew everybody through something, whether it was through this guy named Preston Middleton, whether it was through Greg Curtis, whether it was through church, whether it was through, you know what I mean? It was always, we all were connected at some point as kids, you know what I mean?
Okay, so you actually did Beyonce's first demo?
Well, no, it was actually my first demo. It's funny, right?
Your first demo?
Yeah.
Okay,
right,
with Beyonce.
What I would do is, right, because Beyonce and LaToya attended our school. So we were already, we kind of knew each other. And of course, when we got to school, we became fast friends and obviously had the same, the same things in common in regards to what we aspired to do. So I knew that they were, signed or about to get signed or whatever based on our conversations. So we would always talk about songs and music and stuff like that. And I would always have like songs like, pull them in the practice room, like, listen to this song and, listen to this one or whatever. And I'm trying to remember exactly how it happened. I was being mentored by this guy named Greg Curtis, and who's still a great friend, to this day. And he and I, another guy named Teron, and another guy named Scooby, who's my best friend at the time. We were trying to be a writing team. We were in the studio writing songs, and I would always tell Beyonce about these songs. I would talk to Beyonce and Kelly and call them, I'm writing songs, whatever. And so finally, the opportunity came, and Beyonce told her father, like, hey, I want, my friend Brian, I'm running, I want him to write some songs. Like, I want to give them a shot. You know what I mean? And so Matthew came to see us. It was literally like a hurricane or some shit going on. It was like raining really terribly, right? And Matthew comes to the studio to see us. And he's like, hey man, my girls told me they wanted y'all to write some stuff. I need to hear something. You know what I mean? So we played a few ideas, and he was like, I like it. I'm gonna send them down this way. And then maybe like a week later, we had a session with them and recorded 3 songs. And I always tell people that was like really the defining moment for me, as far as like, okay, I always knew I wanted to be a producer, but it was like that day it made it real for me, because it was the first time I'm across, there's a mic across the way, I'm behind the board directing, you know what I mean, vocals, you know what I mean, a demo that we came up with that was just a demo now coming to life, and watching it come to life, and also seeing how incredibly professional and talented and how advanced they were. You know what I mean? Like, they were really advanced. You know what I'm saying? Like, for as far as like recording and their ability, like, it's one thing to know that they could sing and perform. Oh, I went to the show, and that's a whole nother experience. But to get in the studio and to see how advanced they were.
So I mean, did Beyonce? Clearly she was young because she's still a freshman in high school at this point, right? Did you like watch in the studio and go like, "Wow, this person's about to really"?
Oh yeah.
So you knew right away.
We all knew it.
Okay, so she was blowing in that mic like
we all knew it. It was like she was just the level of humility and confidence. You just never, you know what I mean? I had never seen anything like that before. You know what I mean? It was like, and all the girls were like, like Kelly had this voice that was like Whitney, you know what I mean? At a young, they were like 12, 13 years old. You know what I mean? These girls were really advanced, and for me, I'm sitting there like, oh, okay, like, all right, this is, and the song was coming out, great. It was sounding good. And I was like, oh, man, this is what I'm going to do. It was like, this is what I'm doing in my life.
Okay. I mean, did those songs ever come out?
They never came out.
Never came
out. We had like I had like a stupid hiccup in the road with the songs where, they played one of the demos on the radio. Like, they went to the radio station and played the demo, and then, and me and Scooby, who were closer in age, we were excited about it. But the guys who were older than us, which were Greg and Teron, they were like, we didn't get paid for the song, and it turned into this whole kind of thing, and it was kind of whack because they were our friends, they were my friends, and it obviously the song didn't make the album because of the galleries that I didn't really understand. I understand the business at that point. This was talking about 1996, 97, something like that. It was before I really started to really, like, actually that incident made me really dig deep to start learning about the business and what what to do. You know what I mean?
Well, you ended up moving to Atlanta. Well, you went to college in Atlanta.
Yep.
Which was like one of the main 3 hubs of music.
Of course.
New York, LA, and Atlanta. You chose Atlanta. And then while you were down there, that's when you hooked up with Jermaine Dupri. Yeah.
I mean, now that's we're skipping a few things, right?
Okay.
There was a company. So when I'm down there, there's a company called Noontime Music. Right. I guess of Noontime of more recent years would have been like, August Alsina was signed to Noontime through Def Jam, and you know what I mean?
Okay.
So at the time it was partners. There was 4 partners in the company. It was Noonie Lee, who was the namesake, Chris Hicks, who's still currently my manager actually, Chris Hicks, Ryan Glover, and Terry Ross, and they had this production company, this production house, right? Studio, and they were working on all these different projects. And how I even got to even get with them was, I was on campus one day, and there was a flyer on the floor. It was raining like crazy, and I'm trying to get to my class, and there was a flyer like under this tree. I go grab the flyer, because at this point, this is like when street team stuff was huge. This on AUC, it was street team stuff everywhere, right? So I grabbed the flyer. The flyer's like, if you're looking for banging beats, call this number. And it's Noontime Hitman, and it gave all the names of the producers. It was Jazzy Faye, Teddy Bishop, J-Dub, all these different producers who were actually making waves. J-Dub and Dent were signed to Bad Boy Hitman, so they were, J-Dub did, Satisfy You for Puff, and, Dent did Survivor for Destiny's Child, and you know what I mean? We know Jazzy Faye just he was always been jazzy.
Sierra,
you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Tila, he's
Right.
So they had a pretty strong track record, and were kind of like in the shadows when it came to Atlanta, because at those years it was really all about LaFace, Darp, So Def. There was a guy named Tony Mercedes who was really, really killing it out there in the late 90s. You know what I mean? So Noontime was kind of doing these things kind of like, in the shadows of all of that stuff. And they made that deal with Puff for J-Dub and Dent. And they had like a deal at Def Jam, had a group called Absolute, they had a deal at Def Jam. And they were just kind of like making moves, right? And that intrigued me. It was like, okay, this is it's not as overwhelming as if I walked into a Social Def building or walked, to LaFace, that's a whole nother story. I ended up walking to LaFace at some point, but that we'll take that, we'll move that aside. And what happened was I ended up, long story short, I ended up getting with Noontime and, working my way up because I knew that I wasn't quite where I needed to be sonically. But I was like, all right, so, let me go in here and see, what I can learn. And Noonie, I told Noonie, I was like, look, they were paying me like, I was an intern, I was engineering, recording people. So I was, getting paid a few $100s a week. You know what I mean? In college, you're making $400 a week. That's like $4,000 a week. You know what I mean? Like, whatever little money I had, I was saving it. And I think I saved like maybe $2,500, something like that. And I went to Noon, was like, hey, look, I want access to the studio. Like, I want to be able to really get in here and just have all access and learn whatever I can learn from an equipment perspective. I was already playing piano, I'm a musician. And Noon was like, cool. I was like, you ain't got to pay me no more. He was like, oh, really? He gave me the key and the code, you know what I mean? And then I'm in the game. I'm in the studio. Learning how to use an MP, learning my way around, the lab, and getting tips from Jazzy, getting tips from Teddy Bishop, getting tips from J-Dub, and just kind of crafting what would end up being the first like batch of tracks or songs that I would start with. You know what I mean? And then that first batch is what got me signed to Noontime, right? So then I get signed to Noontime. We start working again. Brian and Brandon Casey from Jagged Edge. Were moonlighting as songwriters. They basically were in this group with Jermaine, signed to, the publishing company, but, basically a group. They were like Jagged Edge, that was all they were doing. But on the side, they would go and write songs for the people in hopes that we get placements on the side. And Noontime was one of the hubs that they would go and write songs for. And ironically, it's crazy. They were the ones that were like, yo, who's the new guy? Who's the new guy in that room? Because at the time, everybody was like moving and I was the new guy and nobody was really coming to listen to my tracks. You know what I mean? I was, just trying to figure out what my lane was. And I became friends with Jonte Austin, who was a little younger than me, but Jonte was, like this wonder kid, this brilliant songwriter. He was like 15 years old, writing hits already. So it was kind of a challenge for me and him to work together because he was really working with Teddy Bishop a lot. And it was like, we couldn't really get it together. Brian and Brandon sought me out, like, yo, there's this kid in there, we can go do whatever with him. And we started writing songs, you know what I mean? And from there, we were trying to, submit songs for other people. But then after we made maybe 20 songs, we had like a really good batch of songs. And they were like, maybe we're going to go play this stuff for Jermaine. Because, we were trying to get on Usher's album, we were trying to get on Escape was making an album, we was trying to just, albums. So they go play the songs. Legend has it, they go play the songs for Jermaine. And Jermaine is like, yo, this is an album. This is your album. This ain't, I can't do nothing with these songs, but put these on a Jagged Edge album. So he basically greenlit the next album and was like, where is this guy that y'all been working with? And they were like, oh yeah, he's at Noontime, whatever. So they took me down to meet him, and we met at it was a Trina Broussard, an artist named Trina Broussard, and she had a showcase. We went to the showcase, and I met him for 3 minutes at that point, gave him my number. He was like, yeah, I'm going to call you, right? He didn't call me for like a month or two, right? He finally called me. Was like, "Yo, you ready? We're gonna finish the Jagged Edge album." And I was like, "Bet." So then Noonie and them took me over to his house. Just when the studio was at the house, and we basically started. The first song we did was a record called Keys to the Range, and the second song we did was Let's Get Married. This was me and Jermaine, first time ever working together. The first two songs we did was Keys to the Range and Let's Get Married.
I mean, I'm sure you still get checks from Let's Get Married.
Oh yeah,
every month.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
if you were to guess, because I remember, because I love hearing like stories like this. I remember when I interviewed Sir Mix-a-Lot. He explained to me how he's made around $100 million off Baby Got Back.
In all different ways.
Since it's dropped.
Wow.
He said he's still maintaining his same hot rapper lifestyle.
Wow.
Whatever, 30 years later.
And he was like, when he was Sir Mix-a-Lot independent? He wasn't independent, was he?
No, but he was through Def American, which
Rick.
And he owned, I believe he owned all his own publishing, and he wrote the song and produced it. Wow. How much do you think you made off just Let's Get Married alone?
Oh man, it's tough to tell.
Millions?
Definitely up there.
Tens of millions? Because I'm thinking just the publishing alone, because that song just
30%. Yeah, probably.
Tens of millions.
From could we talk about 1999
yeah,
to 2000?
That's what I'm
20
saying.
years. 20 years, probably around that number.
Yeah.
Probably around that number.
This is why it's important to keep your publishing.
Absolutely.
Right here.
Absolutely.
You're seeing a perfect example.
Absolutely. Without a shadow of a doubt. And it's, it's one of those things kind of like.
It still gets played at weddings constantly.
Everywhere. I did a record for Little Mo called Forever that's, like a super wedding song now. Like it's just re-emerged. I got my statement. I'm looking like, this song was making this month. Like it's like anything that's like wedding related that was any type of hit. You know what I'm saying? It goes. So Let's Get Married is a huge hit record.
Right. And then of course you had a bunch of other songs with Jagged Edge, like Where the Party At. And
huge.
Another huge record.
Huge. Where the Party At. Let me tell you, I have a very funny story about Where the Party At. Right. So. Like I said before, we would work at Noontime. Me and Brian and Brandon would work at Noontime. And then when I started working with Jermaine, I would basically work at Noontime and then I would go write with JD. And we were working on Jagged's third album, Jagged Little Thrill, right? Mm-hmm. And we, Jagged, they have a real, what's the word I could say? They have, their street aesthetic is, the shit is real. Like they, like they really, to me, move like rappers in real life. You know what I mean? Even though they're R&B singers and they sing their ass off and they all come from church and all that, but they really move like street cats. You know what I'm saying? So we were at Noontime and Dog Pound was there, right? Dog Pound came to kick it with Jagged Edge, right? So they're there and we're like, yo, man, we're going to do a song. All y'all here, we need to do a song, right? So then they were like, yo, we're going to flip New York. Then, So we flipped the beat and the original Where the Party At is on that beat featuring the Dog Pound. That's the original version. Like nobody's ever heard this song. I had to go play it because every time I make songs for the album, I go play it for JD. So we made the song. And I said, yo, I'm gonna play this for Jermaine. So I go play it for him. And Jermaine is like, yo, this is just it's too hard. It's like it's too gangster, right? So we scrapped it, right? So maybe like 4 or 5 months later, we're working on tracks for Jagged Little Thrill. And we make the track that will end up being Where the Party At. And Jermaine already had in his mind that this track we were making, that we were going to put Nelly on it. We just didn't know what we were going to write on it. You know what I'm saying? So then Jagged comes to the track. We tell him, we want to put Nelly on this song. So y'all got to think about something that, that will go. And literally, Brian went in the booth and started singing singing Where the Party At. Like the song was already written. It was just written to the New York beat. So he just took that, he sped it up and made it fit. And that shit fit perfect. And then Nelly got on it and it was just like, psh,
over.
You know?
So Jermaine became like your main writing partner?
for all intents and purposes, like we just, we've been writing songs for a long time. I would say that he's had a revolving door of writers that he consistently works with. I just happen to revolve around those doors more than the others at times. You know what I'm saying? But before me was a guy named Manuel Seal that he wrote a lot of songs with, from the Escape Days and early Usher and stuff like that. And then I came along, and then I feel like me and him actually have more in common. You know what I'm saying? Because we were closer in age. Man was a little older than him. So, I think that it was a natural fit for me and JD because we both, we're both around the same age, and we both had a lot in common. We had a lot in common, like way more in common than I even thought. You know what I mean?
Well, you worked on the Usher album.
Yeah.
Did you have any idea what was about to happen when you put that out?
Well, I would say this. My first time working with Usher, we did a song with Mariah called How Much. It was a duet on the Rainbow album, right? So that was my first time ever having an opportunity to do a song with Usher. And I was already like, I'm not a person that usually fans out pretty, I usually don't care about, who the person is. But Usher was literally like a goal. Like he was somebody who, when I first started writing songs, I first realized that I wanted to write songs and I wanted to produce. And he had an album out that Puff had did that was on the face that was like literally a soundtrack to me and my homeboys like summer and shit.
Back when he was a kid.
Yeah. It was like, and he was a kid. Yeah. So it was like for us we related. It was like, this is our shit.
Yeah.
Right? I was like, yo, I'm gonna do a song for this dude. You know what I'm saying? Like when I get into business, I'm gonna do a song for Usher. You know what I mean? And then they did, I moved to Atlanta and they put out My Way and he blows up. Right? You make me want to blows up, nice and slow blows up. This is before I met Jermaine, before, all that. So then when I meet Jermaine, the only artist that I'm really like gunning for, like everything, we worked on a bunch of people, but only artist that I'm really like, yo, I hope he calls me for it. Please call me for Usher. You know what I mean? Like that was like who I really wanted to work with, right? So we did the song with Mariah and it came out dope, they killed it. And then it's time to do the next album, which ends up being 8701. So after My Way, the next album 8701. So Jermaine just built the studio, the big studio he has in Atlanta now. He just built it. So I want to say that those sessions were like maybe the first sessions that we had in that building.
For Confessions?
No, 8701.
8701. Yeah, that was Jermaine's album. Okay.
So that was my first time really. I learned a valuable lesson about songwriting during those first couple of days. Because the very first song we wrote for 8701 was You Got It Bad. That was the very first song that we wrote for the album. Just talk about setting the tone. Like the very first song we wrote was You Got It Bad. And I remember Jermaine had asked me to come up with like some type of melody thing. And so I came up with all these different changes and I added all these different sounds and strings and all kinds of shit to the track, right? And the track wasn't a track yet. It was just piano shit, right? So then Jermaine comes in, he's like, yo, you got something? I was like, yeah. So press play, and it's all this shit, right? He's like, it's like wind and all kind of shit going on, right? And he's like, he goes to the board, and he just starts muting shit. You know what I'm saying? Just muting shit.
Get rid of that wind.
Yeah. Well, actually, the wind stayed.
Oh, the wind stayed. Okay.
The wind actually stayed. The wind actually stayed.
Okay, the wind stayed.
But he got rid of everything, right? The only thing that's there was like the main key line, the wind, and then like a very very basic bass line, right? And then he programs the drums, and then we start writing the song, and immediately when it's something like, oh, this is ridiculous. This is gonna be, it's like one of those moments of like, oh shit, this song is gonna be huge. You know what I mean? And the lesson I learned from songwriting was simplicity is always the key because you want people able to sing along. You want people able to follow along with what with the records, people to connect and relate to the song. And And that song is about as simple as it gets. Like that song don't have no harmonies in it. It's just all unison. The hook is unison. You know, the track is open, but fairly, simple yet complex, but open. Has enough space for Usher to live, those vocals to live in there. And we put a guitar solo on it at a time when there was nobody really putting guitar solos in R&B music. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, Jermaine telling me that they wanted us to take the guitar solo out. Like he literally fought for that. Like we fought for the solo, and it ended up being a major part of the video, his performance. You know what I'm saying? And I just remember like that day, leaving that day after the song was finished, saying like it was one of the first time I said, "Oh, we made a hit today." Like today we made a hit. Like I don't know about any other, we write songs every day, but today
that's a hit.
This is a hit. You know what I mean? So
and that single went how many times platinum?
I think it went 3 times platinum.
3 times
a single,
platinum.
Yeah. The
single.
album, I think it's almost 8 million. I think 7 million. Man.
So that song went on the Confessions album?
No, that was on 8701.
Okay.
You Got It Bad.
You Got It Bad.
Was on 8701.
Okay, it didn't go on Usher's album as well. Okay.
No, 8701 is Usher's album. That was the album with
sorry. Okay.
You Remind Me.
Oh, okay,
It was Usher's third album. The album before Confessions.
Got it. I was mixing it up with Jermaine Dupri's albums.
Yeah.
So,
what Life of 1472.
Yeah. See, the numbers are throwing me off.
Yeah.
That's what 8701, 1472. Okay.
No, 8701 is
too many 4-digit numbers here.
Yeah, I didn't work on Jermaine's 1472. I hadn't met him yet.
Okay. So this came out on Usher's third album.
Yeah. You Got It Bad.
So then you started working on Confessions.
Yeah, Confessions is the
which blew that one out the fucking water.
Bruh.
I mean,
I don't think any of us was prepared
for Confessions.
I think that is one of the moments I think I saw Quincy Jones say something about Thriller. It was just like, man, if you feel good about it and the people in the room feel good about it, you just hope that other people feel good about it. But you never expected, like we had no idea that thing was going to be it was like the perfect storm. Like we weren't prepared for that. That shit blew the fuck up.
Well, to this day, according to Wikipedia, which is usually a little off, it's gone over 10 times platinum.
Yeah.
It's diamond.
Domestically, I think internationally it's gone. I think it's like 25 million internationally, I believe, something like that.
You gone double diamond.
Yeah, international. I think he's done crazy numbers internationally. You know what I mean?
And how many songs do you have on that album?
You know what's amazing? I only have 3 songs on the album. So, but the 3 songs that I have on the album are Burn, Confessions Part 1, and Confessions Part 2. Oh no, so it's 4. I'm sorry, it's 4. There's another song called Do It To Me.
All right, so you got like the 3 biggest songs.
Yeah, and here's the deal, right? How it always happens, especially with JD, is that we end up doing the songs that are like that are the anchor of the album. Like if we don't do the whole album, we end up doing the songs that's the anchor of the album. So then like you make Confessions. Okay, first of all, like once again, Burn was the first song we wrote for Confessions. You know what I mean? In every song in Confessions, there's a story. You know what I mean? There's always like a 3-part, like a 3-sided story. There's a conversation that Jermaine would have with Usher, right?
Yeah, and when I interviewed Jermaine, he kind of explained how Confessions was based on his own story of getting a girl pregnant.
Yeah,
and
it was his life.
It was his life that Usher was describing the song. Yeah.
He just it was the vehicle. You know what I mean? But it's funny because we wouldn't have gotten to Confessions Part 2 if we had never talked about Confessions Part 1. Confessions Part 1 was not even about, it was literally about how back in the day before social media, people was really was out here living 2 lives, really. Like, like the lyric is everything that I've been doing is all bad. I got a chick on the side with a crib and a ride, because we knew cats who were living in Atlanta but would be out here and have a whole nother life. You know what I mean? And we wrote about it. We didn't even think Usher was going to sing it, initially. So we wrote the Part 1, which was the original song was called All Bad, right? So then we do it, and we think it's fantastic. You know what I mean? He kills it. We think it's fantastic. And then Jermaine comes up with an idea like, yo, we should do Part 2. We should do All Bad Part 2, And then he's telling the story. Yeah, we should do All Bad. Like, he gets the girl pregnant, and he's going on and on and on about the story. And I'm like, okay, I mean, it sounds a lot like what you went through, you know what I mean? But it was like, cool, let's do it. You know what I mean? And literally, Jermaine wrote that song. He wrote Confessions Part 2. Literally, I've never seen him write a song that fast. Like,
just boom, done.
We didn't even write it. He just said it. You know what I mean? It was like, you know, we tweaked the hook a bit, you know what I mean? You know, and but the verses.
And you're how old when Confessions?
When Confessions comes out, that's 2004. How many years ago? That's 15 years ago. I'm 26 at the time.
So here you are as a 26-year-old with your hands in, you know, not only were you doing Let's Get Married and all these other huge, huge songs, but now you're on the biggest album in the world.
Yeah. With
the biggest singles of the biggest album in the world. Financially, what's happening at this point?
Oh man, it's ridiculous. You know, I got a crib. You know, I got a crib in New York. I got a crib in Miami, Houston. Got my crib in Atlanta.
So the millions are now.
I'm just I got a crew. You know, I started a label. I had a staff.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I had all kinds of shit going on.
Was your paperwork right at this point? Were you getting everything you're supposed to get? Okay, so you're not one of these guys that are signed to production companies that are getting the majority.
No. This my paperwork is legit. I mean, super legit.
Super legit.
Because I was blessed to be signed to some cats who were just some fair cats. Like I was signed to Noontime Music, so. My deal with Jermaine wasn't like I wasn't an exclusive producer of So Def. I was just a writer. Like it was just like almost work for hire, and I earned my publishing. Whatever I wrote, I earned. You know what I mean? My percentage, and you know what I mean. It wasn't even like there's some people who like were signed to So Def Productions. I wasn't signed there.
Okay.
It was a non-exclusive writing.
It was a better situation for you.
It ended up being a better situation. Yeah. And I ended up being able to, let me tell you what's amazing about that, right? Because we had a huge, we had some hiccups along the way with that, right? But what happened is that it worked out in the long run for me and him personally. It actually worked out in the long run because he's like one of my best friends now. You know, I mean, for the past, I would say the past 10 years, he's been like my best friends. Before the first, from 99 to 2008, it was like business and you know what I mean? It wasn't as we were cool and we had a lot in common, but it wasn't as like we're literally close now. You know what I mean? And I think that happened because we were able to do business in a way where and I attribute that to me already being signed to a company. You know what I'm saying? So I couldn't do an exclusive agreement with So Def because I was already exclusive to Noontime. Mm-hmm. So they had to make that deal. Noontime and my mother had to make that deal. You know what I mean? So it was. I feel like because I didn't have that exclusive thing with him, it worked out because I could never point the finger at, if something, and like people do all the time, like, oh, my career's messed up because so-and-so and so-and-so. And it's not fair. It's not fair because everybody, is all an opportunity. You know what I mean?
Right. You're the one that signed the contract.
Exactly. Exactly. And you are the person that has to maximize the opportunity.
Exactly.
But like I said, I just feel like it worked out better for us. You know what I mean? And we were able to get in and out of deals, non-exclusive deals, and he got what he got, I got what I got, and and it was fair. I mean, he was always fair when it came to publishing. Fair, like we never had any issues.
Yeah,
like that. You know what I'm saying?
That's the thing about business, man. And I used to always think that in order to succeed in business, when I was younger, I assumed that all the biggest business people robbed and stealed and cheated. And you start to get to a certain level and you realize that the best business people just do fair business all around.
Period.
I don't owe anybody money. My staff always gets paid on time. No one's claiming I ripped them off or whatever else. We just do regular ass, boring ass business. I pay whatever I owe on time and keep it moving. And when you see all the top guys, like how you're talking about with the Jermaine Dupris and so forth, it's just fair business.
It's fair.
It's fair. Everyone eats. There's enough to go around.
Yep.
There's no point in trying to be a Suge Knight and, taking people's publishing
And look
that
at
type
Suge.
of thing.
I mean,
And look
look
how
at
things
him.
end up.
Look at him.
You know?
I mean, God bless, but I mean, you have $150 million company. Or was it $350 million? It was like something ridiculous.
Like $250 million, I think.
$250 million. This is as a joint venture. So that means there's another $250 million on the other side.
Right.
You have a company that's worth
$500 million.
$100 million. All right? You have arguably the person who was the Quincy Jones of fucking hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you fuck that up?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
As the money started coming in,
Mm-hmm.
were you making good investments with it, or were you?
I was terrible with it.
You was terrible.
I was just keeping it, I'm keeping it 100. I'm keeping it a buck, man. I was spending, bro.
Yeah.
I was spending it. You know what I mean?
What was the stupidest thing? Like in retrospect, what's like that one thing you're like, I can't believe I spent that much on that?
Oh my God. There's a couple of stupid things, but I can tell you that when I went through like a really, really wow club phase, I was clubbing just like for the sake of clubbing. Like, now I do parties and shit and I DJ, so I'm getting paid to party. But it was an era where I was just literally just blowing through cheese partying. You know what I'm saying?
Like how much in a night?
Oh, easily 7,000, 8,000.
It's not too bad.
But if you're doing this a couple times a night, a couple times a week, it can add up. And you gotta understand how I'm getting my money is not like I'm working for my money. Like it's not, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not an artist. I'm not getting brands at this point. Brands dropping millions of dollars in my lap for my visibility. I'm behind the scenes in 2004, 2005.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So all the money I'm making is literally behind that keyboard. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm spending it like I'm on the block somewhere. You know what I mean? You got to remember, it was back in the day. It was back when BMF was popping. And, Atlanta was a different place.
I partied with BMF. They flew me out. Yeah.
It was
I was at Big Meech's house when he was on house arrest.
Yeah, Atlanta was a different place.
Cool. Yeah, BMF was great. Yeah. Daz was hanging out with us.
Yeah.
You talking about the whole dog pound thing?
Yep.
Yeah. No, man, it was Atlanta was a special place during that time.
Yeah, I don't regret it. I feel like, as a young person, you know what I mean?
You got to blow some money.
You gonna go,
Yeah.
how you gonna learn
a lot of
from it? You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? I bought a Bentley cash. I went to the Bentley dealership down at Beverly Hills.
Cash.
Just said, yo,
You just had a duffel bag.
$300,000. Here you go. Here's $300,000 right here.
$200,000.
I just wanted to feel it.
Yeah.
You wanted to fill the bag. Go to the place and say, boom, there you go.
And it's interesting how much less of a bag that car is worth as soon as you drive it
Oh
off
my
the
God.
lot.
It's
You
terrible.
just lost like 50,000.
Yeah, like
driving it
I
off.
mean, immediately. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, like I said, it was fun. You know,
it was fun.
And we were,
I bet.
and when you're getting it like that, when you never really got it like that before, and this is the first time anybody in my family, was, in my immediate family was like, getting that kind of money.
Yeah.
I had some successful people in my family, but I started making millions of dollars.
Start making generational wealth.
Yeah, it goes from, I got a job making $150,000 or $200,000, to saying, okay, no, listen, like I'm making $10 million, $5 million, $7 million. Like my checks are looking crazy.
Yeah.
And when you're going through that, it's like, if you're not paying attention, that shit could just.
People will steal from you.
Oh, yeah.
Lawsuits. All
Forget
types of,
forget about it.
all types of bullshit.
And I've been through all of that.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So
We all have.
Yeah.
I have to. On my own level.
Yeah.
You went on to produce pretty much everybody after that, and you did Mary J. Blige. Be Without You,
Yeah.
which I was listening to it on the way here, and the part where she goes, put your hands up.
Yeah.
How does that part go again?
Ladies, tell them, fellas, tell your lady she's the one.
Yeah,
like
that part. I actually, I hadn't heard it in so long, and I remember I actually just teared up. Just that one part, and I'm like, oh, I used to tear up during this part because it's like, like the purity of the vocals
Yeah.
and her tone and Mary being Mary and the songwriting behind it is just such a. I mean, I might have to say that's my favorite Mary J. Blige song ever.
And I appreciate that. I mean, Billboard says it's the biggest R&B record of all time. So,
That's the biggest R&B record of all time. How many singles did it sell?
um, I believe she sold like 3 million singles, but I think they're talking about from like an airplay perspective.
Oh,
It's literally between on like of the chart, the existence of the chart. It is the biggest record on the existence of the chart. It's the number one R&B hip hop song of all time, based on airplay, sales, streams. I was surprised, when I got the list. It was like, yeah, you got the number one song of all time, R&B, and I'm like, what? So I'm looking at the list, and I'm like above Billie Jean, but above, you know what I mean? All these records, you know what I mean? And
right.
it's real, it's factual. I was like, damn, and it's a bittersweet moment for us right now at this point because, the energy behind that record, Mary was in a different space, you know what I mean? And the person that energy was for, it obviously that's changed. And, the energy has changed. So, I know people are emotionally attached to their records, and, I don't know how that record makes Mary feel now. You know what I mean? Because at the time when we made that record, she was in a very, very different place when it came to,
Well, she was in a relationship.
She was married.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
now she's not anymore.
Yeah, and you understand, it was not just it was like the things that went around that song, the story of that song, how we even got to work with Mary. A lot of it, majority of it came through, it came through that relationship. You know what I mean? It came through that.
Oh, her husband?
Her husband. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, because he was managing her at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, he was a pivotal point, he was a pivotal point in us getting in the lab with her. You know what I mean? Like,
How do you feel about, with your relationship to her and him and that record, when they got divorced and he's suing her for alimony? How does that make you feel?
I mean, it just made me feel like, oh, she's not gonna sing the song no more. I just kind of felt like,
oh yeah, because if she's singing about him and now he's suing her,
it just made me feel like, man, and granted, I just wish that he would have handled things, or they would have handled things differently. You know what I mean? Just, if you understand a little bit of the backstory on why it ended that way, you're just going to look at him like, yo, I just wish you would have handled that differently. You know what I mean? You could have, and I'm pretty sure he looks back and says, he probably says to himself, he could have handled it differently, but, now it is what it is, let bygones be bygones. And for me, all I can hope is that she finds a reason to sing that song again. You know what I mean? Because she kills it, and it's an amazing record, and she sounds amazing, and people still love this song. The song is like
hell of a song, man.
Damn it, it's 14 years old or whatever, how many years it's been, and people love this record to this day. Like I get so many syncs for it. I get so many, you know what I mean?
Oh, because it gets the movies and everything, TV shows, and commercials, and
crazy. You know what I mean? The requests that we get for this song. And props to Jonte Austin, who's who wrote it with me. He wrote that song in like 8 minutes, man. It came. It was like
boom.
It was like it was just so quick, and we sent it to her and she loved it, and then they cut it, and big props to Ron Fair. He's the one that actually dug in on her vocal. We really he really dug in on her vocal. And, I'm going to tell you what's crazy. I remember I was working on another art. I was working at, I was in New York working at Battery Studios back in the day before they sold Jive. I was working at Battery Studios. I was working on either Joe or I was working on an artist that was on Jive. And they were mixing Be Without You here in LA. So this was like before like FaceTime was like a big deal. They used to do like the you plug your laptop up in the computer and put your they put the camera on the actual computer, and it was like I forgot what it was called, like ID Net. It was something. It was like a special thing. This was before it was FaceTime, and we were going back and forth on the mix. You know, they would send me a pass, and I'd send notes, and then so we were going back and forth on just. And I'm working on another project at the same time, and just so happened Akon and Divine were in the studio also, and they came to the room. We're talking whatever, and I get the pass back. I said, "Well, yo, hey guys, we all about to experience this Mary J. Blige single together right now, so let's put it on." You know what I'm saying? And put it on, and it was like when the song was over, the room was like quiet. You know what I'm saying? And Akon was like, "Bro, that's probably the most incredible shit I ever heard in my life." You know, because it was like
that's not one of those songs that grows on you. That's like you hear it for the first time and you're like, "Oh, that's a hit."
Yeah, it's like
like it's just obvious.
He was like, "Bro, that is the most incredible shit I've ever heard in my life." And I'm sitting in the studio because I'm sitting there like, "Oh shit," you know, because the things are like, you make, and it was a record I made. You know what I mean? It wasn't a record that, because a lot of the records I made with Jermaine, that I continue to make with Jermaine is, it's JD. I mean, now it's JD and me when we work together, but, Jermaine is Jermaine. He's a legend. He's you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He's the star. For many years, I was the person that said, "Hey, man, you be the star. Let's do all the work. You go out and get it going. I'll be right here." You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And this was and I had done a bunch of records by myself at that point and had hits by myself too. But that record was like, okay, this is definitely positioning me in something, and I'm going to be totally somewhere else next year. You know what I mean? Like I knew we were going to be at the Grammys. I knew it was one of the moments. It was like I just know we're going to have a wow year, and it was crazy.
Well, you've been nominated for 12 Grammys, and you've won 9.
Yeah.
Do you ever just sit back in your house and just look at these 9 Grammys? Yeah, okay.
You know what's crazy? I have, along with the Grammys, I have like a lot of Songwriter of the Year awards. Right. I have like Songwriter awards too. So it's like I have all these awards, and I'm gonna keep it real, man. It's, first of all, it never gets old. You know what I mean? And you get to a place where it's like, all right, what can I do sonically to push myself, to push it even further? Because I really, Quincy has 80 nominations with 28 Grammys. Like, at the end of the day, it's like, how do we?
He's killing you right now.
There? You know what I mean? Like, how do we get
killing
there?
Everyone right now.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
is anyone having more Grammys than Quincy?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Let's look this up. This is an interesting...
I know that he has like a Grammy museum in his house. Like he has like a, you know what I mean, a room that's like a fucking museum of Grammys.
There's a guy named George Salty.
Okay, boom. How many Grammys?
31 Grammys.
But he's the only one above.
Who
Quincy.
Is that?
I have no idea. Is he a producer or engineer? Maybe.
Fuck if I know. What the hell is George Salty?
Let's find out.
He's a white guy. He's a conductor.
Ah, because it's orchestra. Classical music. Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. Let's talk about it. Quincy Jones has Grammys.
28 Grammys. And then Alison Krauss.
Yep.
Has 27, who I don't know either. And Pierre Boulez has 26. Wow. So out of that list, Quincy's the only person who actually I know about.
Wow.
He's the only contemporary popular music, pop music guy with that many Grammys.
That's nuts. So
you still got 19 to go to catch up.
To catch up.
You got a few years though.
But it's like, but it's and like the 9 I have are like really so random. You know what I mean? Like, they're the big ones. Of course, there's the Mary, the year I think I won 2 that year or 3 that year. And then, there's Fantasia, and then there's Mariah won for best R&B best R&B album, and then there's Usher won for Confessions, and then there's Robert Glasper's Black Radio. So I mean my shit's pretty diverse too, but it's just watching the Grammys the other night actually made me feel like, man, I need to really keep pushing. You know what I mean? You know.
Well, you have the Guinness Book of World Records for the longest consecutive period of chart success.
Mm-hmm.
You were on the charts for 5 years.
Yeah.
You beat the Beatles.
Yeah. Yeah.
So songs that you produced or wrote or were involved in were on the charts for 5
years straight. I think it was from 1999 to 2004, something like that. It was something like that. It was something crazy where once I got on the charts, I just stayed there. So it was in any capacity. So
has anyone beaten you since then? Has like a Drake or someone?
Drake, yeah, I think Drake, but I think his is more specific. I think his is more like I think his is like singles, like number one single. I think you know what I mean? I think it was like number one single time. I think his is more specific, but as far as just being, you know, as a producer, I don't know. I don't know if there's a producer that has beat that stat.
Well, yeah. I mean, like I said before, 100 million album sales, 35 number ones.
Yeah.
9 Grammys, 12 nominations. The resume is just insane.
Man, and I still feel like I haven't even scratched the surface, man. I still feel very, very energized and very like, you know, ready to take it on. You know, like really saying, hey, yo, like I'm still in it with like, you know, these young cats is killing right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I still feel very in it with them and very relevant to what they're doing too. Like I don't feel like when young cats see me, they don't even feel like they even view me as like a old head. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, and I guess it's your demeanor, how you treat them too. You know what I mean? If you treat young people like, if you son young people enough, you know, they'll start treating you like an old head. You know what I mean? But it's interesting.
Well, you worked with R. Kelly.
No, I never worked with R. Kelly.
On the Buffet album?
He sampled a song that I cleared. But I did not work with him directly. I've not worked with R. Kelly directly.
Okay.
So let's get that
out the way.
Yeah, never.
There's no mute Bryan-Michael Cox that you want to be triggered by this.
Yeah, no disrespect, but yeah, I've not worked with R. Kelly. They sampled a song that ironically, is crazy. They sampled an Aaliyah song, ironically.
That you worked on.
It's a record I did for Aaliyah.
So you worked with Aaliyah.
Yeah.
Aha.
Yeah.
Okay. So this was after she had already left.
No, I worked with Aaliyah when she was alive.
No. What I meant was after she left R. Kelly.
Yeah. It was way after. It was during like the I Care for You era, the Rock the Boat.
Aha. When she was working with Timberland and everything else like that.
Yeah, right before they did all of that.
Aha. You know so you caught her before she kind of.
Well, no, it was after 1 in a Million.
Okay.
So it was between 1 in a Million and I Care for You.
Got it.
You know what I'm saying? So Timberland they were there, but it was between.
You actually you commented about the R. Kelly documentary.
Yeah.
You tweeted about it. About the Aaliyah part.
Yeah, tough. It was tough for me to watch.
Why is that?
Just because I knew her. You know what I'm saying? I knew her demeanor. You know, we were all around the same age, so I got a chance to spend some time with her. Spend time, me, her, and Jonte were able to really, really catch a bond, and you know, you could tell that there was still, you know, she had dealt with what she was, you know, she had dealt with it. You know what I mean? Because she was a happy person. You know, she was, you know what I mean? She was happy being in the lab. She was very, 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 you know, she just was a dope ass person. You know what I mean? So if you didn't know anything about that before, you probably wouldn't even guess that she had went through what she went through. You know?
Yeah. I mean, I just interviewed Public Announcement.
I know Eric and them got some wild stories.
And
Jesus.
You know, they told the story because there was a third member of the group. You know, I interviewed 2 of the guys.
Okay.
And there's a third member named Earl.
I'm sorry. I call Eric. Earl is the guy. I'm sorry. Earl is the guy.
Earl left the group because he claims that he saw R. Kelly having sex with Aaliyah.
I've heard that story before.
He went and told one of the other members of the group and said, you know, I'm quitting the group because I'm out. So the guy, I mean, it sounded unbelievable. So the guy actually spoke, Ricky, I believe, spoke to R. Kelly about it, and he said, "Hey, Earl is leaving the group because he's seen you with Aaliyah." And R. Kelly's answer was, "What's that got to do with him?" He didn't even deny it.
Yeah, I like I said, it was just tough. Like, there was just that part was tough to watch. I mean, all of it was tough to watch. All of it was tough to watch. But I'm saying, but from a personal, you know a person, a person's demeanor, her energy, you were in her presence. From that perspective, it definitely was like, man, this is,
Yeah.
it's
it's a rough one. Rest in peace, Aaliyah.
Yeah, rest in peace to Leah. I think the whole R. Kelly scandal is it's just unfortunate, man, because, when somebody is like the soundtrack to, a generation.
Oh, yeah. No, he's
like,
I mean, people don't want to admit it now because of what you're going, what he's going through, but R. Kelly, music-wise, is really one of the greats with like a Prince and a Michael Jackson, and he's in that caliber. If you look at his catalog, and you look at his writing catalog on top of that, like shit he did for Maxwell and like all these other people, like he's a absolute phenomenon of what he does.
Yeah,
but there's all the underage stuff.
Yeah, it's just like, I went to a party like a month ago, and the DJ started playing R. Kelly, and they started booing the DJ. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's that, just, it's just a real unfortunate that, we have to, that's been going, whatever's been going on has been going on for so long, and everybody's like, oh yeah, we know why people have been tolerating it, and we could talk about the race thing, and, it's just unfortunate, man. I just feel like,
Yeah, no, I remember I had Lunel on the show, and she brought up a very interesting point. When that whole sex tape trial happened, if you had thrown a little white girl in that video, you would have had a very different jury.
I mean, if there was a white girl anywhere in the vicinity of those allegations,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
It would have been
anywhere in the vicinity.
I agree.
You know what I mean? But
I agree. I think he was able to get away with it because he only focused on black girls, and America just doesn't have the same type of value.
That's a whole other conversation
for black girls' lives. Yeah, there's something called white girl syndrome.
Explain that.
It's something, being in the media, I'm very sensitive to it. And what that is that there's studies that have shown that middle class white girls of a certain age get a very disproportionate number of media attention when it comes to crimes relating to them than other races of girls as well as boys. So if you have a 19-year-old blonde girl named Becky who disappears from somewhere, it's like a fucking Trump will be tweeting about it.
It's fucking true though.
But a black girl will go missing in Detroit and no one will care.
It happens all the time, by the way.
That's what I'm saying.
Happens all the time.
It's unfortunate. It's fucked up.
Remember the girl that was the one white girl that got lost on the island or some shit?
Yeah.
Come to find out she was just down there. She just stayed down there. It was something.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. That's why I'm very careful with my staff about what we cover. And it's like, let's just pull this down because she's getting enough media attention already. Like.
I think I hear you. I just, it's just fucked up. You know what I mean? It's fucked up. And like I said, like just knowing Aaliyah, having that time with her, it's like, that was just tough to watch. That part was like, man, because it was personal.
Yeah. Well, since you're a little older, you actually saw a lot of the young Atlanta producers coming up.
Yeah.
Like Metro. And,
everybody.
Southside and all these guys.
Metro, Fuse. These are all my boys, like all my friends too. You know what I mean? Like,
And you talked about how according to you, there's 3 categories of producers.
Mm-hmm.
There's orchestrators, hybrid producers, and beat makers?
Mm-hmm. So when I say orchestrator, right?
Yeah.
I would say that type of producer is like what the traditional term means, right? So
Quincy's an orchestrator.
A Quincy's orchestrator. Yeah. You have Norman Whitfield, who was orchestrator. You have,
Dr. Dre.
Dr. Dre. Mm-hmm. You have even Puffy. You know what I mean? Like, people always try to discredit Puff, the producer, because he's like, well, he
doesn't play instruments.
But Puff is,
doesn't matter.
If you ever in the studio with Puff Daddy, right? His energy it will shift the entire room.
Like, just look at his catalog.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
His energy will shift the entire room. So it's like, okay, if I'm in a room with Puffy and it's Puffy and let's say D-Dot. You know what I mean? And D-Dot is making beats and D-Dot might be making the beat. Or Chucky or Stevie or any of the hitman. You know what I'm saying? Puff's energy, because Puff is wild. You know what I'm saying? So Puff come in the studio and his energy can shift. I can tell you, even making those records I made for making a band, it was like literally his energy. I was thriving off of, okay, what's Puff's energy? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I need, you know what I mean? So I feel like people kind of discredit him, the producer, but Puff is that energy is necessary.
I agree.
You know what I mean?
So what's a hybrid producer?
Hybrid producer is somebody who's kind of like in between, who does both. Who's like, okay, a hybrid producer, somebody like a Teddy Riley, or like even a Babyface, or like, or even what I would consider myself. You know what I mean? Somebody who can orchestrate, who can put a team together or pull things together, but also who composes and gets it to the finish line. You know what I mean? Because that's the thing about producing. Production is getting your record from point A to Z, to the finish line, right? So when we talk about, the concept of beat makers, or I like to say composers, you know what I mean? Because I think there's a negative connotation on beat makers, which it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be, because I feel like that shit isn't, like, what's a song without a beat?
Right.
You know what I mean? So people are like, oh, you're just a beat maker. But okay, well, if you ain't got no beats, you can't do nothing anyway, right?
So who are the beat makers? Metro?
I would say that Metro and Mike and all these cats used to be beat makers, but I think now they get their songs to the finish line. You know what I mean? But I was saying in the beginning, when you're starting back there, they're just making packs and sending packs to writers.
I guess,
You know what I'm saying?
I guess if you make a beat and you're not involved
with the writing, with
the actual, putting the song together, you're not in the studio with the artist. Yeah. The artist just takes your beat and gets in the the booth. And then tells you the song is finished. Yeah. You're a beat maker.
Yeah, exactly. So that's to me what I think beat. But I think now those producers are now, legit. Like, and not saying they weren't legit before, but I'm saying I think that now they understand that they have success. They know how to make their records, be what they're gonna be. Like now they're getting the shit to the finish line. You know what I'm saying? Where I feel like it's still a generation of beat makers now who just, because instead of SoundCloud and SoundClick and all this stuff,
Fruity Loops and
but Fruity Loops is just a program. It's not, you know what I mean? Yeah. FL's a program, just like Logic's a program, just like, fucking Pro Tools is a program. Like I think people try to, discredit FL, like, well, FL is just, it's just like when Logic came on the scene and I was young and all the young people was using Logic, instead of using Cubase or instead of using, you know what I mean? Like, it's just a program, right?
Exactly.
So what I say is that, really is the distribution of this music. I feel like why there's a lot of beat makers, because a lot of beat makers don't know how to get their records to the finish line. So, okay, let's say I'm in the studio, I'm making beats, then I got to send it to the writer. At that point, the writer is writing the song, arranging the song. They might be demoing the song, doing all the vocal arrangements. At that point, the writer's producing the record too.
Do you always, when you write the lyrics and so forth, do you always demo it yourself, or do you have other people demo for you?
I usually demo my songs.
So you, like, Be Without You, you actually sang that yourself?
Jonte sang it. Because Jonte Beyonce wrote that song. Like me and him came to the studio together, and he wrote the song, and I cut his demo. Me and Sam cut his demo, and then we sent the demo to.
So you sang Mary J. Blige's part and sang?
No, he sang Mary J.
He sang it. Okay.
He sang it. Yeah, he sang it. He sang it. Now Burn, I demo Burn.
Got it.
You know what I'm saying? You know, and I demo Confessions Part 1. So,
got it.
You know, I mean, depending on the situation, who's there.
Right, because you actually sing as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I came up as a singer.
Right.
Ironically, yeah.
I mean, your level these days, would you say you're up there with the greats and you just like being behind the scenes? Or do you feel like, okay, I could sing, but I'm not Usher?
No, I'm a singer.
You're a singer.
Yeah, I'm a singer. I consider myself a singer. I can't lie. I consider myself a singer. I do.
If you were to say the 3 greatest producers of all time, excluding yourself.
Of all time. It's so difficult because I have so much respect for so many.
Right, and you've worked with a lot of them.
Worked with a lot of them, and I just know a lot. You know what I mean? Like I know, you know, I mean we could talk about Ted Templeton and Norman Whitfield and freaking Kashif, you know what I mean? And Maurice White, you know, who produced all those great Earth, Wind & Fire albums. And,
right.
You know what I mean? Like, you know, the top 3 producers of all time. At that point, you have to say, okay, I got to break down. I mean, David Foster, you know, David Foster is huge. He's like, you know, he did all the fucking, all the huge pop records from Celine Dion to Whitney to this. He produced I Will Always Love You for Whitney Houston.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it was like the top 3 producers of all time. For me, it's difficult because I don't look at music.
How about the top 3 hip hop producers of all time?
Okay, let's break it down in genres. The top 3 hip. Okay, hip hop, right? Of all time. You have to say Dr. Dre.
Yep.
So many East Coast cats I'm thinking about. It's like, you know, there's Premier, there's Moby, there's fucking
Neptunes.
The Neptunes. Well, see, the Neptunes are just hip hop. The Neptunes.
But people who've done a lot, you could say people who have done a lot of hip hop. They're not just hip hop, but they've done a ton of hip hop. Just like Timberland has done a ton of hip hop.
Yeah, but the Neptunes, I feel like, you know, this is an argument, but I feel like the Neptunes, their base, like their foundation, like for example, their first placement was, you know,
Teddy Riley.
Tonight's Tonight by Blackstreet. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
Well, he wrote the rap to Rump Shaker.
But
I'm saying Neptunes as a production team.
You're right. You know better.
Tonight's the Night, and their first, like, you know, placement outside of that was freaking, you know, Use Your Heart by SWV. And you know what I mean? Like this is what the Neptunes was rooted in. And then the Nori thing happens.
Yeah.
And then
Super Thug, right.
Then, you know.
Now they're hip hop producers. I mean, you know, there's Kanye West.
Kanye. I think people really discredit Kanye as a producer because he's this artist and he's this personality now.
Right.
And people don't realize that
he's producing
Kanye
all these
West
albums.
is.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like from way back. Kanye West is
working for D-Dot.
Yeah, this dude is a monster producer. We know Timberland is a monster producer. Hip hop, but it's crazy. That's why 3 is difficult. We know that Dr. Dre is solidified,
on that list,
right?
Yeah.
He's solidified.
So who are the other 2?
Hip hop is difficult. Timberland is ridiculous, right? It's difficult to not put Timberland in the mix, but Timberland also produced Justin Timberlake. And
right.
He produced Aaliyah, and he produced, you know what I mean? So it's like,
as did you.
Huh?
As did you. Timberlake also.
Yeah. Let me think. Okay, so I'm saying it's gonna be difficult. For me, it's difficult because it's like I also have in my mind there is you know, there's Puff in general. Mm-hmm. So because you have Nasheem Myrick and Carlos Brody and I mean all the hip men who made hip hop.
He's still the head of all that.
Huh?
Puff is still the head of all that.
So I'm saying there's Puff. You think about those big track masters, like that was all Puff. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly. So Dre and Puff are.
Dre and Puff. You gotta say that. You gotta say Puffy because Puff had his hand.
I would agree with you.
All right. So Dre Puff. Of all time.
Who was the third?
Of all time.
I would give it to DJ Premier.
I was gonna say Primo because it's
I'll say
literally
Primo.
Primo created. I was almost like the boom bap. He created it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he owns that.
So that's fair. Dre, Puff, DJ Premier.
Yeah, and they all have very distinct.
It's fair. And we're talking about strictly hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Because if we're gonna talk about top 3,
Hip hop, R&B, you got a different list.
Yeah, it's a different
Yeah,
conversation.
but like Premier doesn't really do R&B like that.
He does.
He'll do a
hip-hop.
little here and there, but
every now and again. But he's like, you know what I mean? But for me, I feel like my favorite producer of all time is Teddy Riley. So
I can see that.
He's the reason why I started producing records. He's the reason why I then felt like producing was attainable.
He did the show back in the day. Like
this dude has lived 9 lives and still look like he's 35 years old. You know what I mean? Like this dude is like a fucking alien. You know what I mean? Teddy Riley is somebody who it's unbelievable. This dude did the show and he did fucking Remember the Time and he did No Diggity and he did, you know what I mean? Queen Pen and he did fucking, you know what I mean? Like this dude has done and he did Kumo D. You know what I mean? This dude has done every genre. He did Boy George and Jane Child.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? Like
who do you think is the most musically talented person you've ever worked with? Whether it's a producer, singer, whatever. Someone that is just musically makes you say, God damn, like I wish I had some of that. Like you know what I mean? Like when you meet people that are like their creativity level is unearthly. And you've worked with damn near all the greats. Yeah. Have you ever worked with Michael Jackson?
I never worked with Michael Jackson.
Okay. So
became very close.
Almost all the greats.
Became very, very close. And it didn't happen.
Almost all the greats. So out of the people you've worked with, from the Mariahs to the Ushers to the Jermaine Dupris to the Puffies to the...
I feel like I was super impressed with Mariah my first time working with her. I was in Amber just totally like, wow. You know what I mean? Just her commitment to writing. And she knows her shit. Extremely gifted. You know what, man? This is...
It's an interesting question.
It's interesting because I was telling somebody the other day about Chris Brown. I had a conversation with somebody about Chris Brown. I was saying how he knew things at a young age that you can't be taught.
Yeah, I mean, I've always said,
you know what I'm saying?
From the very beginning, I've said that if Chris Brown focuses, he could be the next Michael Jackson.
He knows things that you can't teach.
And I just felt he hasn't been completely focused, which is why he's never gotten to quite that level.
Yeah.
But when he comes out, it's always fucking incredible.
I mean, he's just, as a producer, he's just, me working with him early on too, I worked with him on his first album. He just knows things that you can't teach. And for me, I feel like and I feel like every major artist has that quality. Beyonce is the same way. It just knows things that you can't teach. Usher's the same way. It just knows shit.
There goes another one, Beyonce. A lot of people in the mix.
I mean, Beyonce is just like lightning in a bottle, yo. Like just.
So the most musically talented person.
I'm trying to narrow it down, man.
Usher.
I'm trying to narrow it down.
Chris Brown, Aaliyah.
Because I like all kinds of shit too.
Mariah.
I love
Mary
all
J.
kinds
Blige.
Of shit. Mary, Monica.
Whitney Houston, you ever worked with her?
I worked with Whitney.
Whitney Houston's another one. There goes another monster.
I worked with Luther Vandross, who was phenomenal.
Luther Vandross, another monster.
I can't really answer that question, man. There's too many people I worked with.
Like, man, I'm trying to get a check for some of these people.
Yeah.
I'm going to say the wrong person. They go,
Yeah. But I can't really answer that question.
Fuck Bryan-Michael Cox.
No, it's just too many.
Never work with me again.
But there's too many people that I've worked with that I'm in awe of. Like even most recently, like Luke James, I think that he's fucking phenomenal. You know what I mean? Like it's certain people that's just got it. You know what I mean? And it's like, yo, the girls that Beyonce has now, Chloe and Haley, like those girls are special. You know what I mean? You know, I think that they're not. I'm going to the other side. Like there's Layla Hathaway. There's Lettucey. There's like these are people who Fantasia, who I believe is a phenomenal, one of my favorite singers. So it's like, I can't really narrow it down. You know what I mean? The only thing I can narrow it down to say that, being in the studio with Babyface is unreal. I did a year working with Babyface, 2011, 2 years, 2011. And his natural knack, like he's like the Black John Lennon. You know what I mean? Just songs just pour out of him like crazy. You know what I mean? You just sitting there, you watching this dude, and it's like, yo, I'm actually in the studio with Babyface. You know what I mean? It's like, so it's, I don't know, man, it's just too many. It's just, it's too many, man. It's too many. And a lot of these youngins, man, they're starting to, I think that people are underestimating this young generation, man. Like it's some real talented young motherfuckers out here, man. Musically,
yeah. I mean,
killing it.
When you look at the new batch,
mm-hmm.
and it's interesting with hip hop now because you're kind of in this emo stage of
R&B is
rap.
Too.
Yeah, R&B
is too.
But this is the first time it's really happened with rap. You've had some emo R&B over the years.
Yeah, over the years. This is the first time rap has been overly
emo.
Yeah.
Right. And it's funny because one of my regular guests, like Daylight,
yeah,
we talked about that, and he just said, like, Black people just aren't emo. You know what I mean? Just walk it off. Like, you know what I mean? Tough it up.
Yeah,
What's wrong with you? Like,
it's that,
okay, you're hungry. So what?
That is
so am I.
That is
Get over it.
For sure.
And for the first time, you're actually seeing, people sing about how hungry they are and stuff like that. And you have this new batch of Trippie Reds and Juice WRLDs and Lil Peeps and XXX and Tacion's and stuff like that, where you have an emo hip hop.
Yeah.
White people have been doing it for years.
For years.
I
think we only had one emo hip hop artist back in the day. It was PM Dawn.
PM Dawn.
They were super emo.
That didn't last long.
Yeah, it didn't last long at all. KRS One.
KRS-One threw the guy off the stage. The end. That was the end of the emo era in hip hop.
Yeah.
But now it's back full swing. So when you look at, in the Lil Uzi Verts and stuff like that, like when you look at this new batch, who would you say is the real superstar, talent level?
Oh, from a hip hop perspective, I think Gunna and Lil Baby, got some star quality going.
Yeah, I can see that.
I think Juice WRLD.
Juice WRLD. I was going to say that
because and it's crazy. No, yeah, Juice WRLD. I would say that because my son's, I have an 8-year-old, right, and he's really into music, and when I saw him react to the Juice WRLD record, like he loves that song. Like it's just like one of his favorite. That's his shit. So it was like, okay, let me pay attention to what this Juice WRLD cat, and then I was like, I think that he has star quality.
All right, man. Well, listen, Bryan-Michael Cox,
man.
an incredible body of work once again.
Yeah.
And I think what's so dope is, and I think about this in my own, line of work, and my thought process is that, you create things that will be around after you pass, will still make an impact.
Absolutely.
For me, it's interviews, and for you, like the music you've created is going to be listened to and loved and danced to and cried to and married to, and all these types of things when you're not around. And that's an incredible feeling.
It's crazy. I was telling somebody this the other day. I was like, for a while, it was like almost I've learned to embrace that now. Eventually, in the beginning, it was kind of a burden. It was like, because it has to be good. It's almost like the pressure of like everything that we make is something that's going to be around and after we're gone.
Yeah.
And I think that the most important thing is, maintaining the ownership of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And really teaching that to these young creatives coming up. Like, yo, listen, man, don't be so quick to give it away. You know what I mean? Because you have no idea what song you're going to write in 5 years. And then you locked in some situation. You know what I mean? That song is, not yours. When or your children are going to be fighting to get dad's, copyrights back. Um, we have to think in that place. Like, okay, the future. Like, you're building something that you're gonna like you own VladTV. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is is something that's going.
All my interviews, we have over 10,000 videos on our YouTube channel, and we have stuff from 10 years ago that still makes money. Wow. As you and I are talking right now. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's the same type of catalog structure that music people have. Yeah, I just do it with video interviews and people telling their stories, and you do it with music. Yeah. But the catalog is so important.
It is, man.
The ownership of it, and it's funny because when I interviewed Sir Mix-a-Lot, I mean, he denied this, but I had heard stories, and this is, it's not confirmed, but I remember talking to a guy years and years ago when I was still in college who was working around Sir Mix-a-Lot's camp. And he told me a story that Baby Got Back was actually produced by Mix-a-Lot's DJ, and Mix-a-Lot bought that beat for $500. Now, when I asked Mix-a-Lot that, he said, "Oh, no, I produced the whole thing. Oh, no, it was all me." And, I don't know whether this is real or not. I'm just throwing, but think about selling a beat for $500 that ends up making $100 million.
Oh, man.
Imagine that.
And just, outside of the torture of, like, hearing it on the radio, and, like when it was hot, and you're not getting that check. Oh, my God.
Yeah, man, the ownership is very important.
So important, dog.
Some people own property, some people own stocks. And these are both things that you should have in your portfolio. But as creatives, man, you have to own what it is that you make. Yeah. And because you can continue to monetize it forever. Yeah. Yeah. Which is why you don't really have to do any more songs. Yeah. And you're going to be fine.
Yeah. I literally thought about quitting a year ago.
Absolutely nothing until 100 years old. Yeah. Because all the work you've done already is going to carry on. Yeah. Until after you're gone, you could actually leave it to your children. Yeah. As well. Yeah. Yeah, man. So Bryan-Michael Cox, man, I appreciate you coming in, man. Hell of a story.
Thank you for having me, brother.
Hell of a body of work, man.
Thank you for having me,
man. Until
next
time.
Yes, sir.
Peace.